Warren Moon was not supposed to become an NFL legend. Coming out of high school, several colleges wanted his arm and athleticism, but not at quarterback.
They just didn't want me as their quarterback.
So he went to junior college, earned a serious opportunity at Washington, and turned it into a Rose Bowl victory. That still was not enough for the NFL. Before the 1978 draft began, Moon signed in Canada. Then no NFL team selected him. 6 CFL seasons later, he returned to the United States with 5 Grey Cup rings. He went on to throw for 49,325 NFL passing yards, make 9 Pro Bowls, and become the first black player enshrined in Canton as a quarterback. But his career was not simple. He had to change leagues to keep his position, absorb years of doubt in Houston, live through the collapse of a 35-3 playoff lead, and prove himself again after being traded at 37. From the only boy among 6 sisters to the quarterback professional football could no longer deny, this is how an undrafted Warren Moon became an NFL legend. It started long before Canada. Moon grew up in Los Angeles as the only boy among 6 sisters. His father died when Warren was 7, leaving his mother, a nurse, to raise the family. Moon learned to cook, sew, iron, and help keep the household moving. That responsibility arrived before football fame ever did. Moon was not growing up with private coaching, recruiting camps, or a clear route to college. He was helping his family, going to school, and trying to create an opportunity with the one skill nobody around him could ignore. He could play only one high school sport because he worked during the rest of the year. He chose football for one simple reason. He could throw farther, harder, and straighter than the kids around him. Even getting onto the right field took a plan. Moon used a family friend's address to attend Alexander Hamilton High School, which had a stronger academic and football reputation than the schools in his neighborhood. He barely played as a sophomore. Then, during a lower-level game, Moon unleashed a throw so long that varsity coach Jack Epstein immediately noticed him. Epstein told him, "Next year, you're our starting quarterback." For Moon, that sentence changed everything. The varsity job gave him a stage, but it also locked in the position he would spend the next decade defending. Every time someone saw an athlete who could move elsewhere, Moon saw the quarterback Epstein had trusted with the offense. Moon kept that job through his senior season, but when colleges started calling, many of them did not want him under center. Several programs recruiting Moon wanted the arm, the speed, and the athlete, just at receiver or defensive back. Moon refused.
They decided they wanted to move me to defensive back, and I wasn't going to have any part of that. I wanted to be a quarterback, and I thought I was good enough to be a quarterback, so I told him I wasn't going to go there.
Instead of accepting a scholarship that required him to abandon quarterback, he enrolled at West Los Angeles College. He set passing records there, but only a handful of 4-year schools showed serious interest. Junior college gave Moon exactly what he wanted, and almost none of the security that normally came with being recruited. He had to prove himself again, then convince a 4-year program that the production belonged to a quarterback, not merely to an athlete waiting to be moved. Washington offensive coordinator Dick Szczesniak was different. He wanted Moon because of that rifle arm, not in spite of it. Washington went 11-11 during Moon's first 2 seasons. He shared substantial quarterback work with Chris Rowland in 1975 and became the clear starter afterward. During Washington's 1-3 start in 1977, Moon was booed by some home fans, but Don James stayed with him. Moon still had to sharpen his command of the offense, but the opportunity remained where it belonged, at quarterback. By 1977, Moon was Washington's captain and offensive leader.
Old highlights. Quiet morning. Good coffee. Nerd Roaster is normally $25 a month, now $22 with code TOUCHDOWN. Go to nerdroaster.co.
The Huskies won the Pac-8 and reached the Rose Bowl, where 4th-ranked Michigan waited as a heavy favorite. That game became the defining performance of Moon's college career.
Warming up is Warren Moon. He's the Washington quarterback.
Moon threw 1 touchdown and ran for 2 more, repeatedly turning Michigan's pressure into Washington momentum. By the 3rd quarter, the underdog Huskies had built a 24-0 lead, and the quarterback many recruiters had doubted was controlling the biggest game of his life. Then Michigan came charging back. The Wolverines cut the margin to 7 and drove to Washington's 8-yard line in the final minutes. Linebacker Michael Jackson ended the threat with a diving interception, preserving a 27-20 victory.
It is intercepted by Washington. Michael Jackson intercepts number 5.
Moon had built the lead. Washington's defense saved it. Moon was named the Rose Bowl's most valuable player. On national television, he had proven that a black quarterback who had been pushed toward junior college could lead a team past one of the biggest programs in the country. But NFL evaluators still found reasons to hesitate. Some questioned whether Washington's rollout-heavy offense had prepared him for a traditional drop-back system. Racial prejudice compounded those concerns. Some evaluators still suggested that Moon change positions. Moon decided not to let an NFL draft room decide whether he could remain a quarterback. On April 12, 1978, weeks before the draft, he signed a multi-year contract with the Edmonton Eskimos. When the NFL draft followed in May, no team selected him. Canada was supposed to be the alternative route. It became a dynasty. Moon backed up veteran Tom Wilkinson during Edmonton's 1978 championship, then shared the offense with him in 1979. That was another test of patience. Moon had escaped the position change, but he still had to earn control of a professional offense. In 1980, he became the primary starter and led the final 3 title runs in a stretch of 5 consecutive Grey Cup victories.
And immediate Grey Cup success with the Edmonton Eskimos.
The league that gave him a chance did more than keep his career alive. It gave him the repetitions, responsibility, and championship pressure he needed to keep proving he belonged at quarterback. Moon was named Grey Cup Most Valuable Player twice. In 1982, he reached exactly 5,000 passing yards, becoming the first quarterback in either the CFL or NFL to hit that mark in one season. Then, in 1983, Moon raised the total to a CFL record 5,648 yards and was named the league's most outstanding player. The individual recognition confirmed what the championships had already shown. Moon was no passenger in Edmonton's dynasty. The larger victory was control. In Edmonton, coaches had stopped debating what position he should play. They were asking how much of the offense he could carry and trusting him with more every season. That made the old evaluation impossible to maintain. Teams could still debate how quickly his game would translate to a narrower field, but they could no longer argue that he lacked the arm, command, or production to play professional quarterback. By then, NFL teams were no longer asking whether Moon could play quarterback. They were competing to sign him.
They went after Warren's old Edmonton coach, Hugh Campbell, and he's the first time in history I've ever seen a team hire a head coach to get a player.
Houston won the bidding. The move carried its own pressure. Moon was not arriving as a young draft pick who could develop quietly. He was a 27-year-old champion with a major contract, expected to rescue a franchise that had already been losing. Every early mistake could be used as proof that CFL's success would not translate. Every big throw carried the opposite argument. Moon entered the NFL at age 27. The field was narrower, the windows closed faster, and Houston was nowhere near the finished operation he had left in Edmonton. The Oilers struggled, but Moon still threw for 3,338 yards as a rookie, setting a franchise record at the time. The next 2 seasons were harder. Houston remained a losing team, coordinators changed, and Moon's aggression produced mistakes along with the spectacular throws. In 1986, he threw 26 interceptions while the Oilers finished 5-11. The NFL had finally allowed him to play quarterback. Now, it was waiting to see whether he could win there. The first turn came in 1987, when quarterbacks coach June Jones helped reshape Moon's passing game. The Oilers posted their first winning record since 1980 and reached the playoffs. That started a run of 7 consecutive postseason appearances for Houston. The quarterback once criticized for playing in the wrong system was finally receiving coaching built to maximize what he did best. In the wildcard round, Houston faced Seattle. Moon completed 21 of 32 passes for 273 yards and a touchdown as the Oilers won 23-20 in overtime. It was his first NFL playoff victory and Houston's first postseason win since 1979. The opportunity he had crossed a border to find was finally producing January wins in the NFL. 2 years later, Moon signed a 5-year, $10 million extension that made him the highest-paid player in the NFL at the time. The undrafted quarterback now held what his agent described as the richest contract in the league. Then came 1990. New head coach Jack Pardee installed the run and shoot around Moon's arm. The spacing gave him more receivers, faster decisions, and the freedom to attack every part of the field. Moon led the NFL with 362 completions, 4,689 passing yards, and 33 touchdowns. He produced 9 300-yard games, tying the single-season record at the time. The ball came out quickly, receivers attacked open grass, and defenses that brought pressure left someone uncovered. Against Kansas City, Moon completed 27 passes for 527 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 27-10 road victory. It was the second highest single-game passing total in league history at that time. Houston's offense was no longer merely exciting. It was changing what an NFL passing attack could look like. That afternoon captured the danger of Houston's offense. The defense could know Moon was going to throw and still lose the ball downfield. The production was not empty yardage in a defeat. It came in a 17-point road win against a playoff team. Moon was named the Associated Press NFL Offensive Player of the Year. He was also selected as the NFL's most valuable player by the Newspaper Enterprise Association. The following season, Moon led the league in passing yards again with 4,690. He also set NFL records with 655 attempts and 404 completions. By then, Houston's offense was no longer an experiment. It was one of the defining attacks in football, and every opponent entered the week knowing the game could turn into a track meet. The quarterback no NFL team selected was now one of the most productive passers in football. Then Houston produced one of the most painful reversals in playoff history. Moon suffered a concussion in November, then fractured his left shoulder 2 weeks later. The shoulder injury sidelined him for 5 games and limited him to 11 appearances in 1992. Houston still reached the postseason and met Buffalo only days after beating the Bills in the regular season finale. Moon threw 4 touchdown passes in the first half, and Houston led 28-3 at halftime. Early in the third quarter, the Oilers returned an interception for another touchdown. The score was 35-3. Buffalo was playing without injured starter Jim Kelly, and the game appeared finished.
Moon goes deep. Touchdown, Houston.
Then everything collapsed.
Nice touch. Has another man open. Backpedaling into the end zone is Andre Reed. Buffalo trailing by 4. End zone. Touchdown.
Buffalo scored 4 touchdowns in a span of just over 7 minutes. Houston's offense stopped controlling the game, the stadium came alive, and a lead that had looked impossible to lose disappeared before the fourth quarter was halfway over. Buffalo erased the deficit, forced overtime, and won 41-38. Moon had thrown for 371 yards and 4 touchdowns. Yet those numbers became background to the collapse. Houston did not merely lose a playoff game, a season, and soon an entire version of the Oilers would be remembered through the lead it could not protect. Moon returned to play 15 games in 1993, and Houston recovered to finish 12-4. But after the season, the Oilers decided to move in a different direction and traded him to Minnesota. For the second time in his professional life, a team was telling Moon that its future would continue without him. And for the second time, he had to answer somewhere else. At 37, 1 year removed from an injury-shortened season, Moon looked like a quarterback approaching the end. Minnesota got 2 more 4,000-yard seasons.
Warren Moon says, he turned 39 last year, and says when things go bad and he's not playing well, they say, well, he's over the hill, he's finished, he's too old, and like now he throws touchdown passes and he's spry and young, and amazing. They call him an experienced quarterback.
The first arrived immediately. Moon started 15 games in 1994, threw for a Vikings record 4,264 yards, and took Minnesota to the playoffs. At an age when many quarterbacks were already retired or accepting backup roles, he was still handling a full passing offense at a franchise record level. The following season, Moon passed for 4,228 yards and 33 touchdowns. Those consecutive 4,000-yard seasons gave Moon a second NFL identity. He was no longer only the face of Houston's run and shoot or the quarterback attached to Buffalo's comeback. In a different uniform and a different offense, his arm still changed what a team believed it could do. Houston had moved on. Moon had not slowed down. Seattle signed Moon at age 40. He turned 41 during the season, completed 313 passes, and threw for 3,678 yards, both Seahawks records at the time. He also led the NFL in passing yards per game. The return to the Pacific Northwest completed a circle that had begun at Washington. But this was more than a homecoming. After an injury to starter John Freese, Seattle needed Moon to take over, and he showed that his arm still belonged in a starting lineup. Against Oakland that October, Moon threw for 409 yards and 5 touchdowns in a 45-34 victory. 3 of those scores went to Joey Galloway. This was not a ceremonial final chapter. At 40 years old, Moon could still take over an NFL game. He was selected to the 1998 Pro Bowl for the 1997 season and named the game's most valuable player. Moon played 2 seasons in Seattle, then finished as a backup in Kansas City in 1999 and 2000. When Moon retired, he ranked 3rd in NFL history with 49,325 passing yards and 4th with 291 touchdown passes. He had completed 3,988 passes across 208 games. Those totals mattered because the NFL record book did not include his 6 CFL seasons, 5 of which ended with Grey Cup championships. Count both leagues, and Moon finished with more than 70,000 professional passing yards and 435 touchdown passes. That separation can make his career look like 2 unrelated stories, the Canadian champion and the NFL star. It was really one continuous answer to the same question. Could Warren Moon play quarterback at the highest level? Edmonton gave him the opportunity to answer first. Houston, Minnesota, and Seattle made the answer impossible to ignore. He made 9 Pro Bowls across Houston, Minnesota, and Seattle. At retirement, that tied John Elway and Dan Marino, one behind Johnny Unitas's quarterback record of 10. But the most important part of Moon's resume was not where one total ranked. It was that he kept changing the context around him without changing the position he had fought to keep. And his impact went beyond the numbers.
So I felt like if I played well enough, that if we played at a high enough level, maybe we changed the mindset of owners, maybe we changed the mindset of general managers and coaches, that we could play this position and it would open up more opportunities for other young African-American quarterbacks. So that's what keeps you going.
By the end of Moon's career, a generation of younger quarterbacks had grown up seeing a black passer lead sophisticated offenses, command huddles, win shootouts, and remain a starter into his 40s. That visibility did not solve the problem, but it changed what young players could point to when someone questioned where they belonged. Moon understood that every snap he took at quarterback widened the path for the players coming behind him. His success did not erase the stereotypes that had followed black quarterbacks, but it made those stereotypes harder to defend. Coaches and executives could no longer claim there was no successful model for a black quarterback leading a sophisticated, professional passing attack. He later described the struggle for black quarterbacks as a fight within the larger fight for civil rights, a battle simply to receive the opportunity to play the position. In 2006, Moon was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. He became the first black player enshrined as a quarterback. Moon's legacy is not built around one championship or one record. He never won a Super Bowl, and the Buffalo collapse remains attached to his Houston years. But toughness alone does not create a career like this. Not across 2 leagues, 4 NFL teams, and more than 2 decades of professional football. That is Warren Moon's answer. He refused to switch positions. He chose junior college rather than surrender the job. He signed in Canada before the NFL could determine his future, helped build Edmonton's dynasty, and then spent 17 NFL seasons proving that the original evaluation had been wrong. 28 years after every NFL team passed on him in the 1978 draft, Moon entered the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Which part of Warren Moon's journey defines him best? The Rose Bowl, his years in Canada, the Houston run, or what he changed for the quarterbacks who followed? Tell us in the comments. Subscribe to Touchdown Timewarp for more forgotten paths to football greatness. And if you want to support the channel and help us keep these football time warps coming, join the Touchdown Timewarp membership.